Okay, Broncos country, looks like we are live, but you guys know the drill by now. We've got to let this stream breathe for just a second here and make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. Welcome in, Broncos country, to this Denver Broncos Syndicate live stream. I am your host, Gage Madrid. Let's go ahead and get a few people to start streaming on in here. And while we do that, take care of some housekeeping matters. Be sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. It's not mandatory, but if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, the link is in the description below. The Denver Broncos have announced their roster moves ahead of their Week 14 game against the Las Vegas Raiders tomorrow. So without further ado, we've already got 11 people in the house. Let's go ahead and bring this in here. Just bear with me. There we go. So the Broncos announced that they have signed tight end Marcedes Lewis from the practice squad to the 53-man roster. He was out of elevations. Players only get 3 elevations from the practice squad to the 53-man roster. They were hoping that Nate Atkins would be ready to go by now. That's why he wasn't placed on IR after suffering a knee injury against the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, Atkins has suffered some sort of setback. He's not quite ready to go. Peyton said that they're still not going to put him on IR, but last week against the Commanders, Denver rocked with only 2 tight ends. I don't think they want to do that again. So Marcedes Lewis has officially been signed to the 53-man roster, where he's likely to remain for the remainder of the season. He's been an excellent blocking tight end and has been a great leader in the locker room in his short time here. So I know that the Denver Broncos are very happy to have him on the 53. They did need to create a spot for him on the 53, though, and they did that by waiving linebacker Garrett Wallow, who has predominantly been a special teams player for this team. He's gotten injured, though, so I don't know if they have plans to bring him back on the practice squad. They needed a linebacker for this game with Wallow now departing, so they elevated, not promoted, just elevated Jordan Turner from the practice squad. He'll revert back to the practice squad after this game is over. Denver does have an open spot on the practice squad, which they will likely fill on Monday or Tuesday. Wallow could be a candidate if he passes through waivers, which I imagine he will, or the Denver Broncos could look to sign some other player. They worked out a couple of players yesterday. Sincere McCormick, the former Raiders running back. They also worked out a couple of offensive linemen. So maybe one of those players could be in play for the Denver Broncos here. We got one slow asking if there's a running back we could get to help us out. Well, that is certainly an option. McCormick is an option there. There are a couple of other players that we've talked about, such as Damian Martinez, the former University of Miami running back, maybe a Jamal Williams or a Zach Moss, but I feel like the Denver Broncos aren't particularly interested in the available free agents at that position. Otherwise, they would have already made a move there. Sincere McCormick, clearly he's maybe tickling their fancies, so possibly that spot on the practice squad will be for him. Turtle says tight end, nice. Yep, Lewis has been in games for the Broncos. He was in the previous Raiders game. So Marcedes Lewis, he does bring a nice role, some stability as a run-blocking tight end. And the Broncos are going to need it in this game because in terms of EPA per play allowed, the Raiders have the 3rd best rushing defense in the NFL. So Denver's going to have to find a way to sustain a ground game, and it's been really tough these past few weeks without J.K. Dobbins. Hopefully, R.J. Harvey can look a little bit better out there than he did previously. If not, Denver's going to be in a little bit of trouble. If they're going to have any resemblance of a ground game in this one, Marcedes Lewis is going to need to play a big role. So that's why they wanted to make sure he was eligible to play in this game. They didn't want to go into this one with 2 tight ends like they did against the Commanders. Turtle says, I just want to see us dominate the Raiders and win by at least 1 score. We should at this point be able to do that. I'll be less worried about the postseason if we don't. Here's my thing. This Raiders team is not good, but it's still a division game. So I wonder deep down if they are going to be playing this Denver Broncos team with the mindset, okay, this might be our Super Bowl, so we don't have anything to lose moving forward. We're going to go out there and really try to dominate these guys. The Raiders did play well in our previous matchup, but they've regressed as a football team. They've fired their offensive coordinator. They fired their special teams coordinator. They've had injuries on the offensive line. They've had injuries on defense. Max Crosby's not 100%. There's no reason why the Denver Broncos shouldn't win this game by multiple scores, but again, it's a division game, so you never know. Slow says, do you think Franklin will be cut this offseason if he continues the drops? No, he's not going to be cut, but I could see the Denver Broncos look to replace him with some other player. He'll be on this roster, but he'd just be a backup. I expect the Broncos to go all in to upgrade their wide receiver room. I expect them to maybe make some sort of trade for possibly a Jalen Waddle. Justin Jefferson feels like a bit of a pipe dream, but Jalen Waddle feels realistic. Maybe they find some other candidate out there that they could trade for that would really be a difference-making alpha number one receiver. I expect a move of that caliber in the wide receiver room. I also expect them to invest at least one top 100 draft pick in the wide receiver room. So I think realistically, Denver views Pat Bryant as their future. They view Cortland Sutton as their right now, but long term, they still have questions about guys like Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. Will those guys be a part of the offense long term? Marvin Mims, he's starting to fizzle out of the offensive game plan. They're not using him much on that side of the ball. He's been strictly a special teams player. So I'm wondering if the Denver Broncos don't go out and make some sort of crazy move at the wide receiver position. It would not surprise me at all if they did. But in terms of moves they could make right now, I think everybody here in Denver is looking towards that running back position. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Sincere McCormick's numbers here. We'll just take a brief look at that because I did not get around to making a video on Sincere McCormick yesterday. So let's go ahead and bring this in here, Broncos country. Bear with me, bear with me. Boom, shakalaka. Let's get rid of that stupid advertisement. There we go. So, Sincere McCormick in 2024 was one of the few Raiders running backs that actually looked half decent last season when they just could not run the football at all. He had 39 rushing attempts for 183 yards, a 53.8 success percentage on the ground, which is really good. A 4.7 average yards per carry, no rushing touchdowns. In the receiving game, he had 6 receptions for 29 yards and no receiving touchdowns. Overall, nothing great, nothing to write home about. He's 5'9", 204 pounds, so he's not going to be that big downhill bruising running back. But at this point in time, I'd say that Denver is just looking for some sort of production out of any running back they can get. So if it's Sincere McCormick, then great. If he ends up becoming a half-decent running back for this team, if the Broncos do end up signing him, of course, then great, fantastic. The Broncos have solved their problem until J.K. Dobbins comes back. But realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. Denver is just going to have to find a way to survive out there at the running back position until we get J.K. Dobbins back for the playoffs. T. Fishes says, I'm looking at Marlon Klein, tight end out of Michigan. He plays like Troutman, but can pass and run block. I'm not sold on any other pass-catching tight end in this draft. I want at least some sort of competent blocking tight end. I desperately want the Denver Broncos to go out and get maybe the equivalent of a Jackson Hawes in this year's draft, where maybe he's not the most elite receiving tight end, but he could be a sustainable blocker for you long-term. So this cat right here, I'll have to look into him when I start scouting. I haven't done that yet. I'm not going to start scouting until the season's over, but once I do, this cat, Marlon Klein, he's going to be on my radar for sure. Conception, Chris Bell, Denzel Boston are my favorite wide receivers in the draft. Again, I have not even started looking yet. I don't know who's going to fill what role. I don't know who does what. I barely watch any college football this time of year. So once draft season starts, that's when we're going to really start looking at these players and determine who fits. I really love these suggestions because these are all names that I could start at least watching some highlight reels of and get a vague idea of what they might bring to the table. So thank you very much for this, T. I really do appreciate it. All right, guys, we are going to start winding down this stream here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Turtle says, I don't follow college at all. I watch a little bit of CU during the season, and then outside of that, I just watch college football to scout during the offseason. Be sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. The link is in the description below if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow. Gus Edwards, maybe, but like I said, I don't think Denver's impressed with a whole lot of these free agent running backs. Otherwise, they would have already signed one. We should also consider a tackle to replace one of our starters. Long term, yes, but I wouldn't say that's towards the top of their priorities at this point in time. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.